Good morning. This is Bill from out of Europa, Naples, on another muggy, miserable, and crappy Florida Tuesday. It's a September morning. Again, the humidity is just beyond reproach. Dripping, sweating. All I did was take pictures of this car, and it looked like I jumped in a swimming pool. But anyway, better weather harkens. It should be here in a month or two, and God, we're all looking forward to that. Today I've got what is probably, and I don't think I'm speaking with braggadocio here, I think this could be the cleanest remaining Crown Victoria, LTD Crown Victoria left in the country. I mean, it really has to be. There just can't be too many out there like this. This is a 1989 model. That was the year I graduated high school, so it's got a special place in my heart. It's got 21,000 miles and one original owner, and it is just incredibly well preserved. I mean, it's just an amazing car. And these were amazing cars. They were put on the Panther Platform, which came out in 1979, and it only was supposed to run for a few years. It was an answer to the GM downsizing of 1977. And instead of being phased out as expected, it ran for 33 years, the longest platform to run in Ford history. And that's because, frankly, it was just so damn good, and it sold so well. And especially fleet sales, to police car, people and taxi companies, that sort of thing. They went nuts for this car because it could go for hundreds of thousands of miles with minimum fuss, with a tremendous amount of comfort, lots of room, and it just made everybody happy. And as a result, the Panther Platform has gone down in history, and it should. It's absolutely an amazing thing. But anyway, there just aren't that many of these things left, these LTD Crown Vics. A lot of town cars became garage queens, even a Grand Marquis or two. But the LTDs, for the most part, got beat to crap. And if the car, frankly, is good enough for Matlock, it's good enough for me. I mean, it's a very well-appointed Ford, above and beyond what you would expect from, what was not a luxury car at the time. Has the same big aero wheels off the town car. The LTD Crown Vic had this vinyl quarter top like the town car with a stainless band around it. Lots of chrome. In 89, actually I think it was 88, they got an aero treatment. You can see how these taillights became wraparound. The bumpers, the big chrome bumpers, got molded more into the car, so they became part of the car. Up front, it had the lights became a little bit more curved, but basically they curved the four corners of the car, and it was a big improvement on the looks and definitely modernized it at the time. I remember it. Now, this view right here, that is a view that I saw for many, many years out of the back window of my 79 Formula Firebird. Difference is the headlights were flashing, and there was a big red and blue thing on top pulling me over. And frankly, that's why I enjoyed driving this car. It gave me the view that I would have seen out the window of the car that was pulling me over at the time. I got pulled over by a lot of Crown Vics. Of course, Caprice Classics also were police cars at the time. Some argued they were better, some argued they weren't. Either way, these things were incredibly well used in terms of fleet vehicles. But let's just get into this car, because it's just epic, man. This thing is unreal. All right, I have to say, this is one thing that I like. The way that they've put this Ford logo over on the right side of the car that conceals the key. It's very trick for Ford. I would have expected that to be over the top of the license plate. But here it is here instead. So you just lift that up, get this in, give it a twist, and up comes this cavernous trunk. You can see we've got a full-size spare tire there. Very, very nice stuff. I've got all my crap in here. In fact, I'm going to put the license plate out while I'm in here. There's the original mats with the car. It had this car cover with it, with a twine cover, which I have a feeling this thing was stored indoors. I mean, it's just the chrome in it, everything. It's incredibly well preserved, this car. Look at the gloss underneath the hood, for God's sake, or the trunk. It's just weird to see a car like this. I bought it at a collector car auction and was assured it was, a little old lady drove it for 21,000 miles. Well, whoever the hell drove it for 21,000 miles, they sure took care of it. But anyway, that's part of the reason the livery companies liked him, was the size of that trunk. You know, I get on Mercedes and BMW for being part of the Nazi war machine, using slave labor and, you know, fueling the stuff that attacked Poland and whatnot. So to be fair, I kind of have to get into Ford as well, because not only did Ford and GM, you know, they had German subsidiaries at the time, and they fueled the Nazi war machine. They created, in fact, the Blitz trucks that, you know, helped attack Poland. But Henry Ford himself was a big supporter of the Nazis, very anti-Semitic guy. Ford is a very complicated character. One could, you know, write 20 history books on Ford, so I'm not going to get too much into it. But the guy was a bit strange. He received the award, what was it, the Order of the German Eagle from Adolf Hitler, a great admirer of Ford. In fact, Adolf had a portrait of Henry Ford in his office. There's some people who say that the favor was returned, but who knows. But anyway, they loved each other. At least Hitler admired Ford a great deal. Ford visited Nazi Germany and gave some speeches in support of Hitler, and you can't deny that now. So Ford did have a little bit of a role in old Germany. And you know, if you're going to be beating up Mercedes, I guess I better beat up Ford too. And also, by the way, Ford, first of all, some real maroons think he invented the car. He did not. Other people think he invented the assembly line, which, well, he sort of did, but didn't. Ransom Olds, you know, the original founder of Oldsmobile, he invented the assembly line. What Ford did was invent the moving assembly line, which was, of course, a big leap forward, and made it so they could produce, I don't know, something like 10 million Model Ts by 1924. So, but anyway, there it is, finer points of history. Getting into this, you can see the preservation under the hood is pretty remarkable. This uses what Ford calls a 5-liter, but I believe is actually a 4.9-liter V8. This has that frying pan sequential fuel injection system, EFI. It doesn't have as much horsepower as the GT did, the Mustang GT, although it's essentially the same motor. I will say a lot of police cars came with a 5.8, a 351 with a carburetor, and in fact, it was the last American car offered with a true carburetor all the way through 91. And that, you know, did not appear in the ones for civilian use like this one, that 5.8 with the, but it only went with 180 horse. I think this is 150, so not that big a difference. They got 225 out of the GT. That had to do with exhaust and cam and heads and that sort of thing. But in this particular incarnation, it's an incredibly reliable engine, and you can put hundreds of thousands of miles on this thing. Love the winged hood ornament there. You wouldn't get that on the fleet cars. That was only on the ones that were sold to the public directly. And that weird coffee can emissions thing, never quite figured that out. Let's have a look in the back seat. I have all the chrome everywhere. This illuminates at night. I have a picture of that. That's just neat. The LTD Crown Victoria. The Crown Vic was only used before that in 55 and 56 on the Fairlane. That's the only time that, I think there was in the 30s, there was a Ford and Lincoln Victoria, not a Crown Victoria. You know, for such a incredibly popular nomenclature, Crown Victoria really wasn't used for that long, mostly only on this generation, other than those Fairlanes from the 50s. This has actual velour interior, something that I just hadn't seen in years. I'll try to get that. I'm using an iPhone because I forgot my damn video camera, so I've got to make sure to get this properly. The iPhone kind of sucks when it comes to lighting, but the condition is amazing in this car. The problem with it is you can't smoke in here. Not that I would anyway, because it's not my car. This is the same shit they made the Hindenburg out of. So, I mean, if you get an ash on it, if you get a lit ash, it's going to go up in a plume of smoke, and you have to be very, very careful. Look at this. God, the detailers are so dreadful. Absolutely dreadful. They really are just horrible human beings. Oh, God. Anyway, the condition of the interior is absolutely incredible. Your Canadians are going to be very, very chipper back here. You can seat 3 across, no problem. They'll be pretty happy unless they're wearing handcuffs, I suppose. So that wouldn't help them out at all. All right, up front, same story. You've got a bench seat that seats 3, and that's again why the livery companies, the taxi companies loved them. You can see the condition of the velour is remarkable. This has, look at all this stuff. Worst detailers in human history, I swear to Christ. Anyway, you've got your power seat on the driver's side with a recline. It's manual on the passenger side, but does also have a recline. Here on the door panel, you got your power windows and locks. Nice stuff. Your power mirror, little grabby thing to close your door. Nice little stitching in the velour. You got a map pocket there. If you stick a 9mm in there, it's going to be tough to get out. It's a very thin sort of opening for you, and of course you've got some illumination. But let's get in and get some air conditioning going, because I'm still friggin' dripping. Oh god. All right, to do that, we put that in the little key slot, vintage style. Crank it to life. We'll let the defrost go for a second. I wipe myself down. It's working fine, but I'll turn it down a little bit so we can hear. Okay, here you can see this beautiful, I don't know if it's beautiful, but I love it. This long horizontal instrument cluster, 0 to 85 on a big sweeping needle. You just have one warning light. Well, you got brake as well. I don't know if that's for e-brake. It is. All right, so it's probably not your brake warning light, but you've got engine, so that probably is charge and overheating and whatever else both. You've got check engine. That was an early one of those. You've got low fuel. You've got amp. You've got your idiot lights all in full effect. There you see just 21,000 miles. You've got expanses of faux wood trim everywhere, which I think looks quite nice. I'm sure Matlock was very pleased with that while he was driving. Because this is 89, it was 1 year before the revamped dashboard, which I'm glad, because this dash looks a lot more vintage. You've got the LTD Crown Vic and the chromey bits on the vinyl. You've got a nice big glove box. You've got Ford sort of complicated AM/FM cassette radio. You've got a very basic climate control with rear defrost. You've got your ashtray down here, which certainly doesn't appear to have been used at any point, so the old woman wasn't a smoker. You got these great little armrests that you can put down, because cops need armrests. You've got lit vanity mirror over there, very, very nice and luxurious. Also one on the driver's side, which is impressive, so I guess people did need to powder their nose in the 80s. You've got these great little smoker vent windows that you can open up and aim the air at you as you're driving down the road, which is quite nice. Those probably haven't ever been opened. You've got automatic headlamps. You've got a tilt wheel. Ford's weird tilt wheel that tilts right at the end of the steering column, and sort of is very dramatic. All these lovely big chrome switches for the cruise control and the wipers. The car is just everything that America gave away, in the 1990s as we swapped over to European-style cars. All this big chrome column shifter, the leather-wrapped thin steering wheel with over-assisted power and over-assisted brakes, big chrome knobs for the light. This was all stuff that was America and is now gone away, and that's why I love this era of car. It brings back the stuff of my youth. I wouldn't argue that it handles better, that it's put together better, that it's in any way, a superior car to the stuff that came after it. But it certainly is a treasure in its own way, and it's something that we've lost as we've moved towards more globally mass-produced vehicles. This is real Americana right here. You can see the long, expansive hood with the hood ornament guiding the way, nice little creases in there. And again, this was the view that those cops in the 80s had pulling me over. I can almost see my old Firebird up ahead, red and blue lights bouncing off it. So, I don't know, great trip down memory lane for me. Radio still works. Our detailer's listening to NPR. I just can't stand NPR anymore. I mean, I won't even get into it, but it's absolutely ridiculous. One thing that I like about these old cassette decks is you can use a cassette adapter for your iPhone. You don't have to change the radio. Plug that thing in there and you could have your modern music. And no, I don't hate the Doobie Brothers. I got some flack for that. They're fine. I've just, like Leonard Skinner, I've heard enough of them for a while. Just need a little break. Let's go for a spin. One thing I used to do when we'd rent a car to go somewhere, we always used to rent cars. We'd try to get a Caprice Classic, and we'd flip the air cleaner hood upside down so it would have big induction noise. And then we'd play, county sheriff or Georgia State Trooper. Not to the point where we'd get out and break people's taillights and, tell them that they're going to get a ticket for that. But that great induction noise from the cop cars of the 80s. It's something that's just gone now. Woo-woo. Loved it. Hopefully the goats won. I've given up on worrying about the goats. They can fend for themselves. All right, we've got the sun, which sucks, but let's go anyway. So you've got this big, heavy car being motivated by a fairly anemic V8, but it's enough to get it down the road just fine. And, again, when your average consumer is going to be Matlock, he's not really looking for breakneck acceleration or cutthroat handling. He's just trying to get where he has to go in a reasonable amount of time in relative comfort. And that's a big part of what these cars do. They're so friggin' comfortable. It just glides and bounces down the road. And like the town car, you use the hood ornament to sort of navigate towards a place in the distance and just sort of make little minor course corrections with the wheel as you're driving. Not unlike driving a Chris Craft. And no, by the way, I can't take any credit for these large, there's that woman with the big hat again. She loves her hat. For these big black streaks here. I wouldn't do that to someone out in front of their house. I'm not a hoodlum, for God's sake. That was obviously some kids in the dead of night who came out in their dad's M5 and lit up the rear tires or something. It's just not something that I've done in 30. I did it when I was a kid, I won't deny. A good friend of mine, Grady, back then, in front of his house in the Firebird, I left some very long and very black marks that took years to go away, but it's just not something I do anymore. Look at them little tiny mirrors in this thing. Everything about it is so vintage and American. Let's see if we can get out without someone killing us. All right, now I'll hammer it a little. Okay, so again, you're not talking about a very powerful V8, but it certainly is enough to get the car down the road. And I do feel like an old, highway patrolman in this thing. I really, really do. What a cool big square body in front. I do think the Crown Vics look better than the Grand Marquis of the time. They just had a more appealing look to me. And one in this condition is such a time machine. It's such a time machine. It really gives me great joy. I know this is a review channel, and I know this is a car that I could beat the crap out of if I was going to be very, very honest about it as a car. But it's got so much nostalgia and love for me that I can't. I just really love this thing. And I love the old American big full frame floaty chassis, small steering wheel, V8, fantastic ride. I can review this car in the context of what it is and not compare it to, the great modern stuff that we've all come to know and love that has no soul of any kind. This car may not handle very well on the skid pad, but it's got soul. All right, so I'm not used to using the iPhone for videos anymore, which means wow, that was a great looking roller skater, whatever the hell she was doing. I'm gonna get a U-turn, turn this off, see what that was all about. Anyway, I'm a little bit befuddled after that. Anyway, so yeah, I cut off like the last 3 minutes of the video right in the middle of my COVID rant, which is probably for the best. The last thing I need to do anyway is start ranting about political viruses. So we got some fun stuff coming up tomorrow, the next day, I don't know, as soon as it's ready. Little Dalton, the detailer, you might remember him, world's worst detailer. Actually, he's, I don't know, don't tell him, he's not that bad. He's temping at Auto House for a little while, and this car was not done by him, mind you. So the one tomorrow, or maybe it will be the day after, will be. So we'll see how that turns out. If I had to guess, I'd say shitty, but we'll see. But anyway, thank you so much for having a look. We really appreciate it. If you have an interest in this LTD Crown Vic, it will be on the Auto House website at autohousenaples.com, or you can give us a call at 239-263-8500. Thank you so much for having a look. We really appreciate it, and we'll see you with the next one. Take care. All right, so let's give this the full, turn this down. Let's give this the full Ohio to Naples package. We'll pretend we're getting on the on-ramp in Ohio. So left turn signal on. There it is. And then we're just gonna leave that on all the way to Naples, all across, 1,500 miles of I-75. Look at this old girl. Born for the highway.